I think my framing is squint. A straight line now? Straight-ish. Straight-ish. Hello, my name is Kathryn from Liquid Grain, and I have been catching up on all my book reviews and book videos recently. So today I'm actually going to talk to you about this. This big chunky book is called Eve of Man. It was written by Giovanna and Tom Fletcher, who are kind of celebs. They're in the YouTube world. Tom was in McFly. Giovanna, I think, has written some other novels. However, this is, I think, their first big novel. It is the first one in a trilogy, I believe. And I ingested this book via audiobook first, and I did enjoy it, so I decided to buy the book itself. However, that's not to say this is a perfect book. I think there is I have quite a few issues with it, if I'm honest. Not massive, you know. I still spent however much money buying the hardback from Amazon, $12.99. And so today I want to just go through my thoughts about it, talk about what I thought about them. I really want to hear what you guys thought about it, if you've read it or listened to it down below. And this was actually the first audiobook I have listened to in years. But the book itself is quite a chunky book. I think aesthetically it is quite pleasing as a hardback. Underneath the dust cover there is a beautiful kind of maze effect in the front, and then this is Eve's symbol here, and then the dust cover makes it a little bit more flashy. It's kind of long, not massively. I think it was about 16 hours an audiobook and just sneaking into 400 pages. However, these aren't small writing. There's a lot of negative space in here, so I think that, to be honest, I'd imagine the spacing for a regular sized paperback back has been used, and then they've just sized it up to get some more moolah. On to plot. Remember, this is a review. I don't tend to have a filter. There will probably be spoilers in here, and in fact there will be spoilers because they're some of the plot aspects I want to talk about that I have a bit of issue with, and they are massive spoilers. So bear that in mind, and don't be mean in the comments below if you've been spoiled and you've listened to this, because it's not my fault. Basically, we're in the future. It's a dystopian future, as always. It's a young adult novel. What else would it be? And there's been no women born for 50 years. So this is a really male-dominated population. The women in the population are aging rapidly, and suddenly 50 years later there is one female born. Her name is Eve of Man, and this is her story, picking up age 16 because she's reached the age of consent and should now marry and start to repopulate the world. That is literally the story. So apart from Eve, the other main character is Bram. He's part of the team that sort of works in sort of managing Eve. He does tech stuff, and he has contact through her, contact with her through this like holographic being called Holly, and he controls Holly. So Eve and Bram are able to build up a relationship through Holly, and so they kind of know each other that way, but it's not as Bram, it's as Holly. And then things all start kicking off when Eve's meeting potential suitors for her to marry and get it on with. And eventually they discover that they're in love with each other, yada yada yada, but they can't be together, so that's a shame, blah blah blah. Bram runs away and then eventually rescues and stuff like that. So, to be honest, that bit's a kind of predictable bit. But what is quite interesting, and what I do want to say, is I do like the plot. It is fun. I like the concept of it. There's no women for 50 years, and I think it's explored reasonably well. I like how the different chapters are written from different points of view. So it'd be written from Eve's point of view and then Bram's, etc, etc. It switches back. In the audiobook, this had a lot of power because there was two actors reading the parts, so I think that worked really well. You literally got your Bram hat on for the chapter, and very firmly on, because I think the audio actors were really good. So although I really like the plot and the world that's created, I just felt like there was one massive plot hole that I couldn't get over at all, and that is Bram is pretty much the boss's son, why is there such an issue that Eve and Bram couldn't be together? Like, I know they half sort of explain it, but way too late. They explain it about 7/8 of the way in, that the baddie lady, Vivian, has sort of sold off the rights to Eve via auction to powerful people, and it's all like a power grab and things like that. But I just still don't understand where if Bram's father is so important and so influential that there wasn't a point where they were like, great, let's keep the power in the family and let's marry Bram with Eve. They can start to repopulate the earth, and then we've still got all the power and we can sort of use that bargaining chip down the line. So from that point of view, it didn't seem very sophisticated. From the plot, I know that Bram had to be in a position of power to kind of get the insight that he did to Eve and get the access to Eve. However, they're almost doing that sort of Princess and the Pauper point of view, where it's like, oh, the boy can't have the girl because he's below her station. But actually, in reality, I think that's a massive plot hole. And why was he below her station that much? You know, why wasn't it at least entertained? Why weren't they at least put in a room together and let's sound it out, because they know that like the natural way of making children is the one that's most likely to be successful. So there's that sort of, so that bit I really struggled with, having to suspend belief that much, because it wasn't addressed at all so far down the line. It was just like, wow, Bram, you're crazy, that's totally not allowed. And you're like, I just feel like at some point it would have been like, wow, Bram, you're crazy, that's totally not allowed, but since you're special, let's give it a go. And like his dad would have maybe had input, and Vivian would be like, oh, this is great, this is a real chance for that. I don't know, that just seemed like a massive issue for me. I don't know if anyone else thought that. Please let me know, because I just was like, why can't they get it together? And also, if they can get together and it is such a big thing, why did they deal with it like in Big Ben so many years down the line? Or not years, but so many pages down the line. I also thought some bits of the writing were a little bit amateurish, if I'm honest, and I think that's where you have the kind of stunt, celeb authoring aspect came into play. I felt the ending was sloppy. I thought it lost a lot of momentum during the middle section of the book, where Eve and Bram had met and like had this amazing connection, but then nothing happened. And I get they were trying to build tension, but I think it just went on for too long, and you're just like, okay, so they've met, now what? Like, instead of like that whole building of tension, I think it actually did the opposite. I think it lost momentum after a point. I don't know if this is just because I feel that the writing's a little bit amateurish, or if this was maybe in their mind when they were writing it, that it's almost written in some areas like a screenplay rather than a book. And it's just a vibe that I get, that it's almost like, oh yeah, this would make a really cool scene in a movie, rather than this is how the story must go and therefore this is how we're writing it, if that makes sense. I don't know, maybe it's just the way that the language is used sometimes. It almost seemed like a screenplay or a script, not a script, but you know, like a screenplay with a movie deal in mind, rather than the organic story getting shown in a separate way. I don't know, maybe that's me being really cynical. What else did I write down? The other thing, this is more of a pondering, is I questioned why they got a trilogy deal, if I'm honest. Unless they're being totally open and saying, yeah, this is a celeb deal thing, that they got a trilogy and were able to write it in this way. Because I know that they've brought out books before, but I think, you know, even their blurb at the back, it's, you know, Giovanna and Tom Fletcher, two of the UK's most successful authors. Tom is the creator of Christmasaurus, which is the biggest debut children's novel of 2016. But debut novels don't really mean anything, because if you're already a celebrity, if I was to release a debut novel and no one has heard of me, and my novel was the biggest of 2016, that's something. Because they're like, the only reason people would have to buy my book would be because it's a good book, hopefully. Not that I'm writing a book, I've got enough on. Whereas if you're a celebrity already, like these two are, when you release your first book, you've already got an audience, and they're pushing it on their social media channels, which are almost combined audience of almost 6 million followers. for weeks and months beforehand. They're pushing all the pre-sales, and that for me doesn't mean anything. If, you know, the biggest debut novel, not to take anything away from their successes, but I think it's either got to be a bit of recognition that, yeah, we've almost had the celebrity stunt aspect to this, therefore we're giving them a trilogy because we know it sells. It's not really the same as being like, we know they're super good authors, so we're giving them a trilogy deal. I don't know, that was just something I thought. I don't know, what do you think? I think other things I liked, except from the world itself, I liked the mothers aspect, the dynamic of the mothers. I did think the rebellion aspect was a little bit predictable. Which is, I think, you know, post Hunger Games, it's really tricky for young adult authors to exist in that sort of dystopian, what am I saying today? Dystopian landscape without people referencing Hunger Games, and I understand that, but it did just seem a little bit Hunger Game-esque, but set in Britain. You know, I like the use of the city. I think especially using Big Ben as like HQ for the rebels was really well done. And I think the characters of Bram and Eve were very well done and very well rounded out. I would have liked more time to be spent on some of the others, especially kind of Bram's friends. I can't remember his roommate's name, and his father as well. I think, I do think how they found like Eve's biological father was just a bit coincidental, a bit lucky, and it seemed to come at quite an opportune moment in the book, considering it had all this slog and you'd already lost momentum by that point. I think when Bram finally left, kind of left the building and joined the rebels, I think that was a real push that should have happened, like in terms of audiobook time, because that's when I read it, at least 3 hours earlier. I genuinely think so. But that's not to take anything away from the book itself. I did like it. I think the audiobook was done really well. The actors were spot on. It's nice to hear a British accent and a British story, which maybe sounds weird, but I listened to quite a lot of American novels and audiobooks, so I did quite like the actors, and I thought they did very well. And yeah, that's me for now. So leave your comments down below. I know this was a bit rambling, a bit ranty, but just must be the mood that I'm on just now.